Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, like to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyam Sundar Krishna Balaram, Bonita Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna to everybody.
Hare Krishna. And the assembled devotees, so that we can start a new subject, if you like. This is on Devatas, commonly known as demigods. But although that term might sound a little derogatory, but it's not meant to be. The Sanskrit word is Devatas. So let's have a look at who these Devatas are and how they're connected to the Supreme Lord, how we can connect to them as well, and what they do, what is their responsibility, how are they, within the structure of the creation, how do they fit in? So, but first I wanted to spend probably a couple of sessions on an overview of their relationship with the Supreme Lord, or the difference between them and the Supreme Lord. So let's make a start. So what is the difference between God and demigods? So when we say God, we're talking about the Supreme Lord from whom everything comes, and demigods, and we'll explain who demigods are in some detail. So what or who exactly is God, and how to define God? So these are various rules by which we understand the definition of God. He's the source of everything. So this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text number 6, chapter 10, text number 8. God is complete and also perfect, no flaws, no material flaws. God is the supreme controller. So again, in the Bhagavad Gita, 1861 describes this. God is the supreme proprietor and enjoyer. Chapter 5, text number 29. God knows everything, omniscient. It's also omnipresent. That means present everywhere. God is full of 6 opulences. Of course, he's got a lot more than 6 opulences. But these are the 6 that are categorized in the Vishnu Puran. It's full of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Anybody who claims to be God must have all 6 of these opulences, at least. So this is a little idea of when we say God, when we say somebody is God, he must have all of these attributes in full, not partly, in full. Because God is not a light thing. Sometimes, especially in Bharat, every street corner has an avatar of God. There's a God on every street corner. But God is not so cheap. There's quite a lot involved in understanding who is God. So let's evaluate who is God. Many claim to be God, especially in India. But do they meet the above criteria? So who is God? Right? Well, Krishna declares it himself, that he is God in the 10th chapter, 8th verse. Aham savasupabhavo. I am the source of material and spiritual worlds. He says it a few times in the Bhagavad Gita. He's the Supreme Lord of all that be. So in the Gita and in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many, many references of Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord. And when we say Krishna, that also includes Vishnu or Ram, because they're all the one same category. One God, but many expansions. So we'll talk about that in a little while. So Arjuna also, he makes the same declaration in the 10th chapter, text number 12. He says, yes, you are the Supreme. But he says beyond that, okay, some people might say, yes, I'm saying you're the Supreme, but I'm your friend, so maybe that's prejudicing my view. But Arjuna also confirms, even all the sages led by Narad confirm that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma also declares in the Brahma Samhita, the first verse of the 5th chapter, Ishwara Brahma Krishna, Satchidananda Vigrana Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna who is known as Govinda is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the cause, prime cause of all causes. So this is a really amazing verse, actually, where Lord Brahma describes the glory of the Supreme Lord in such a nice way. Trimurti will come to a bit later on, but here you will see that one of the Trimurti is Brahma, another is Shiva, and Vishnu. Now, of the three, actually only one is supreme, and that's Vishnu. Brahma, he is a living entity, and we'll talk about him in a lot of detail in a couple of classes' time. And Shiva is in a higher category than Brahma. Shiva is non-different from Vishnu, except when Vishnu wants to touch this world, he transforms into Shiva. That's the one difference. And again, we'll talk about Lord Shiva probably on Monday, exactly who he is in the Vedic tradition, in Sanatana Dharma. And Brahmas, there's so many Brahmas, right? All different living entities, all different souls. Just like there's many Krishnas, many avatars of Krishna, but actually they're not separate from each other. They're one and the same. But the Brahmas, they're all separate jivas. So sometimes we see there's four-headed Brahma. Otherwise, there might be many more headed Brahmas around, depending on the size of the universe. So again, we'll talk about this when we talk about Brahma. So who is God? Continuing with that, is predicted in the scriptures in advance. Right? So for example, in the Padma Purana, it explains, Kale Prathama Sandhyayam Gauranta Gotham Mahi Tale Bhagarathi Tate Brahmai Bhavishyami Sachisuta. I shall take birth as the son of Sachi, assuming a golden form in a beautiful place on the bank of the Bhagarathi Ganga on the earth in the first part of Kali Yuga. So that is a prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is predicted in many scriptures to come, not just the Padma Purana. He's in many. Bhagavatam also has a prediction of him coming. Similarly, Krishna has been predicted in many scriptures to appear, as have all the previous avatars. So incarnation of the Lord, or the Lord himself, he's always predicted. He'll come at this time in order to do this. So, for example, Buddha was predicted, and now Kalki has been predicted to come in the future. So if that prediction is not there, then that indicates that person may not be God. He performs extraordinary lila, which attracts everyone. And the example is, the one that we love to give is when he lifted up Govardhan Hill for 7 days, 7 nights on his little finger of his left hand. And he protected the Bijbasis from the heavy rainfall caused by Indra for 7 nights, 7 days. So this is one of the most amazing activities, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. He gives divine knowledge. So whenever he comes, he gives knowledge, very important knowledge about himself, about us, about our relationship with him. He also shows the Virat Roop, this universal form, as he did on a few occasions during the Mahabharata. One occasion was to Arjun, whilst he was reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, he showed him his universal form. So this is God. The reason why Arjuna asked him to show his universal form was so that we don't get fooled in the future by anybody claiming to be an avatar. If somebody's avatar, show us your universal form, like Krishna did to Arjuna. Very simple. He also has a particular mission when he comes, right? He declares this, Ida ida dharmasya glanir bharati bharata bhutanam tadatmanam sajamyaham. I've forgotten the last bit now. There are also bodily signs on his palms and soles. So his palms of his hand and soles of his feet. So this is an example of Krishna, the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. At the bottom and the soles, there'll be different markings. So if somebody claims to be an incarnation, you can examine his feet and his hands, palms. And from what we understand from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swam. Krishna is actually the source of all the avatars. He's called Avatari. He's not an avatar. He's the source of it. He's the Avatari, from him everything comes. So this is an example of Krishna's incarnations. So from him comes Balaram, then the first Chaturvyu, Narayan comes from Shankarasan, and then from Narayan comes the second Chaturvyu, and then we have the three Vishnus, the Purush avatars, which we'll talk about probably later. So this gives a little idea of who is God. So, is there one God or many? Because now we're going to talk about Devatas. How do they fit in? Are they gods as well? There's only one God with a capital G, but there are many gods with a small g. They're known as Devatas, very powerful living entities, but not in the same category as God. They're devotees of God. They're very special to God because they've taken on a special role in the universe to help maintain it. So they've been given special powers. So those special powers sometimes make them seem that they're God with a capital G, the Supreme Lord, but they're not. They're subordinate to God. But at the same time, they're devotees of God, worthy of great respect. One Supreme Lord, many demigods. So this is described in 10th chapter of 2nd verse of Bhagavad Gita. And the example is given of a king and his ministers, or like we have a queen in this country who appoints a prime minister, who appoints a cabinet to run the country. So in the same way, Krishna appoints a prime minister called Brahma to run the whole universe with some extremely powerful personalities, like Lord Shiva is in charge of destruction, Vivaswan, sun, Soma or Chandra, the moon, agriculture. Indra is in charge of rain and heaven, Kuber in charge of finance, Yamaraj, Lord of death, charge of justice, Vayu, charge of wind, Varun Dev, in charge of water. So in this way, the Lord, he's assisted by these wonderful personalities in the working of this universe. It's very important to understand there is a difference between them. There are 33 crore, that's 330 million demigods in this tiny universe of ours. And this is the smallest universe. And there are different powers, positions assigned to them by the Lord. How does one become a demigod? Generally speaking, it's a living entity who desires to have the position of power. And the position held by demigods gives them access to enormous powers. Krishna has no particular duties. So, and when we say Krishna, we also can refer to Ram or Vishnu. They have no particular duties, but still, Krishna works hard for the benefit of society. What makes Krishna different from demigods? So we've sort of covered this, right? Just a little bit different angle. When Arjuna wants to see the universal form of Krishna, he showed him very easily what is described in the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. All demigods were manifesting from Lord Krishna. Whether they were great demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, or minor demigods, didn't matter. They all came from Krishna's body. No other demigod ever performed or tried to do such an such kind of transcendental activity. Nobody shows you the universal form because they don't have it. Only Krishna has it. No demigod accepted that they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the source of all being. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, 8th verse, I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds, therefore worship me. Not only this, but Krishna also calls the worshippers of demigods as having low intelligence. And why does he say that? Because the only thing that demigods can give you are fruits which are temporary and they're limited. So when we do worship the demigods for specific things, they're limited in what they can give. And also what they can give is very temporary. It's not going to last. Because as soon as our good karma is over, then we lose access to the fruits. The worship of demigods is performed to get material benefits. No demigod can liberate anyone from the material world. Worshippers of the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, not to the spiritual world. And the planets of the demigods are within the material world, subject to destruction. So this is all stated very clearly in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. If we want to respect demigods, then worship Krishna. As if we respect our grandparents, the parents will automatically be happy. In the same way, if we worship Krishna, all the demigods will be satisfied to see that. In that context, Lord Shiva says to Parvati, Vishnu Aradhana Param. Among all prayers, Vishnu worship is supreme. Lord Shiva himself chants the holy name of holy names all the time, which is why he's considered the supreme Vaishnava. Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu. So this is one thing which is quite important to understand. Lord Shiva is always constantly meditating with beads. And who's he meditating on? He said he's meditating on Sankarshan, one of the incarnations of Krishna. The gods get their powers from Krishna, as described by Lord Brahma in the Samhita, Brahma Samhita. So he gives various indications, different types of demigods. Goddess Durga is the external potency of Lord Krishna. Lord Ganesh obtains power from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, like that. Rupa Goswami, one of the previous acharyas, after consulting various scriptures, analyzes the number of qualities and attributes possessed by various personalities. So this is where there's an analytical description of the different personalities. So jivas like us have 50 qualities. And if they are in full, one can become Brahma. One can become the creator of this secondary universe, if one wants to. Add another 5 qualities to Brahma's qualities, and we have Lord Shiva. So nobody, no jiva, no soul like us can become Shiva. Shiva is special. Add another 5, and that becomes Vishnu, 60 qualities. and add another 4 to Vishnu, we have Krishna. So Krishna possesses even more qualities than Vishnu. Of course, this number, the Lord has unlimited qualities. But this is just an indication given by Rupa Goswami, just to help us understand the different categories. Learned scholars in transcendental subjects have carefully analyzed Saman Bowman, Krishna, to have 64 principal attributes. All the expansions of categories of the Lord possess only some percentage of these attributes, but Krishna is possessor of 100%. So then this is just giving an idea, exactly what we've said just before, but in terms of percentages, 93% is Vishnu, 84% makes you Shiva, and then 78% is Jivas. So potentially we can have 78% of the attributes that Lord Krishna has, if we perfect our lives. Srila Prabhupada, who's written the Bhagavad Gita as it is, says in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.26, other demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Ganesh, and many other deities, similar deities, are worshipped by men in the mode of passion, urged on by the desire for material enjoyment. But those who are actually situated in the mode of goodness, Sattvagun, of material nature, worship only Vishnu Tattva. So demigod worship generally entails, I'll worship you, you give me some material possession. Give me a car, give me a house, give me a wife, give me a husband. So generally we demand of demigods. It's not that we don't ask things from Krishna. It's said that if you have any desires or you don't have any desires, still worship Krishna. But what the Lord will do, he will purify those desires. So he'll make them from material desires into spiritual desires in due course. But the demigods will not do that. They will, it's just a business transaction for them and for us. So if we pray for material things, we'll get material things back if we are worshipping demigods. It is for this reason only that candidates for liberation, moksha, deliberately reject the worship of the demigods, although they have no disrespect for any of them. So this is important to understand. Our worship is exclusively for the Supreme Lord, but the respect is for everyone. If we worship the Supreme and disrespect the demigods, something's wrong in our practice, because the demigods are devotees of the Lord, and we are meant to be respecting everyone, not just devotees, but all living entities. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist. This is a bit heavy. Because of various demands or results, they get the results, but they actually are losing their chance to worship and love Krishna. That's why the worship of demigods is equivalent to becoming an atheist, because you're losing the chance of yes, Geeta, thank you for your question. What are the 50, 60, and 64 qualities? Yes, they are listed somewhere. We have, I think we've done a seminar on the qualities. I can't remember, the truthfulness and compassion, like that, just general qualities. But I think I remember the 4 that distinguish Krishna from Vishnu. Do you remember those?
Best dancer,
Yeah.
best flute player, best devotees,
Super excellent devotees
and super excellent Leela
pastimes. Yeah. His pastimes are most amazing pastimes. So those 4 qualities distinguish him from Vishnu. That's what I can remember. I can't remember the other. Is that okay?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for asking. So the worship different demigods with self-desire, even though their self-desire will be fulfilled, they will never get purified. So this is the point. if we worship Krishna and have selfish desires, eventually they get purified because the Lord will work in a way that he will only do something that's good for us. But the demigods don't care, in the sense that they will just give whatever you want without the desire to purify the worshipper. And that's a big difference. That's a really big difference. On the other side, if they worship Krishna, even with some motive or desire, the Lord is so kind, he purifies that selfish desire into selfless devotion. And there's examples. Dhruv Maharaj initially approached Vishnu with some desire. Dhruv Maharaj was insulted in his father's palace. He wasn't allowed to sit on the lap of his father by his stepmother. And he became so angry. He was only a 5-year-old boy, but he became furious. And he went to the forest and he prayed to Lord Vishnu, I want a kingdom greater than my grandfather. And his grandfather was Brahma. And he did such tapasya that he was able to see. He saw the Lord. But when he saw the Lord, he became totally purified. He realized, Varam naeche, I don't want anything now. The Lord said, well, you wanted something before. And Dhruv said, no, I was looking for broken glass, but I found you, diamond. I don't need anything now. So his desire of wanting the kingdom greater than his grandfather was purified. On the other hand, we have examples of Bakasura. Is it Bakasura? That's not quite right. It's not Bakasura. Vrikasura, yeah. When he received the boon from Lord Shiva, so Vrikasura, he was a little crazy devotee. He would cut his flesh and offer it in the yajna until Lord Shiva came. He was about to cut his head off. This is really crazy tapasya. And Shiva said to him, what are you doing, you fool? I've been waiting for you. I want a boon. Okay, what do you want? Anybody's head I can touch, they should die. The head should explode. And Shiva said, Tatastu. Lord Shiva is Ashutosh. He'll give whatever you want without considering whether it's good for you or not. So then Vrikasura, immediately, he wanted to touch the head of Lord Shiva in order to kill him. This is the nature of the demoniac nature. So the boon that Lord Shiva gave was ultimately against himself. And in the end, Lord Vishnu interfered and killed the demon. So, what is the position of the Devatas? Right? What's their constitutional position? Demigods such as Indra, Brahma, Agni. Generally, they're Jiva Tattva, as explained in the Brahma Samhita. You want to do this verse?
Dharmo tapapa nichaya shrutayastapamsi brahmadikita patagava dayasha jiva yadda tamatra vibhava prakata prabhava govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Translation: adore the primeval Lord Govinda, by whose conferred power are maintained the manifested potencies that are found to exist of all virtues, all vices, the Vedas, the penances, and all jivas from Brahma to the meanest insect.
So this is confirmation spoken by Lord Brahma himself, that from Brahma to the meanest insect, they're all manifestations of Supreme Lord. They all come from the Supreme Lord. They're all subservient to the Supreme Lord. That includes demigods, spirits, demons, humans, everyone. They're all Jiva Tattva. Jiva in this world are given material bodies. We have material bodies to fulfill our material desires. So the demigods have material bodies, but their bodies are superior. They're much more powerful than our earthly bodies. Our earthly bodies, they're made of five gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. But the demigods, their bodies are made of subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and ego. So but they're still material bodies. This is the point. Are they under the influence of the three modes of material nature? Because everybody in this world is under that influence. The living entities in this material world is conditioned by modes of material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Due to their past good karma, the demigods are given better facilities for enjoyment. So that's what it is, good karma. So if we do great karma in this life, good karma, very good karma, and we have a desire to obtain great power, in our next life, potentially, we could become a demigod if we wanted to, if that desire is there. The problem with that is that good karma will one day finish. Might be many, many years, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, billions, trillions of years. But one day, that good karma will finish and we'll have achieved nothing. Because when the good karma finishes, we're back onto earth in the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. So, due to the good past karma, the demigods are given better facilities for enjoyment. Their sense enjoyment is also in the mode of goodness, but that can prevent spiritual progress. Mode of goodness means one is happy, one is comfortable, one is at peace, but one is attached to that sattvagun happiness, and that prevents one from taking steps towards spiritual progress. Does any type of sense enjoyment come under the mode of goodness? Yes. Foods, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, give strength, health, happiness, satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Above is with a reference to eating in mode of goodness, but also Krishna gives a list of many other activities: singing, dancing, drinking, speaking, giving charity. All of these different things can be done in the mode of goodness. But that's not enough. Mode of goodness still keeps us in this world. We want to do those activities which are karma-free, which are dedicated or in the line of bhakti, which do not have a material reaction, good or bad, so that we can connect to the Supreme. Demigods in higher planets have much better facilities for enjoyment in the mode of goodness. Their bodies are made of sattvagun and are internally and externally situated in goodness. All the great souls are also saints, are also situated in that way. But it is all temporary. It does not satisfy the spirit soul, which is looking for transcendental reciprocation with Krishna. So what if we're in Sattvagun? It's not enough. It's good place to be, because it's a good platform to make very strong, fast spiritual progress. But if we don't utilize that platform of Sattvagun to make advancement, then it's a waste. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems who is free from the three modes of material nature. So this is where it's not easy, because the connection with the Supreme Lord has not been established in a very fixed, firm way. But the devotees of the Lord, they have that fixed connection with the Lord, and that's why they are beyond the three modes of material nature. So what is the position of the demigods? Demigods are servants. They're different parts of the Lord's cosmic body in material world. So I think we'll stop there. Actually, we can just finish this bit off, and then we'll continue with the second part of this, of understanding in an overall context, who are demigods. So Mahendra, that's Indra, king of heaven. He was generated from the prowess of the Lord. The demigods generated from the mercy of the Lord. Lord Shiva was generated from the anger of the Lord. Because one of his tasks is to destroy the world at the end of, at the right time. Lord Brahma, from his sober intelligence. The Vedic mantras were generated from the bodily halls of the Vedas, or the Lord, sorry. The great saints and the Prajapatis were generated from his genitals. Therefore, the demigods are super powerful and intelligent compared to humans. Their position is to establish balance, peace, religious principles. Madhavacharya, one of the gurus in our parampara, has quoted from the Garud Puran to demonstrate that within this universe, those who take birth as demigods, great rishis or pious human beings, are all considered shanta, saintly persons. The demigods are to be considered the most pious living entities within the three modes of material nature. The rishis, or the great saintly mystics of the universe, who are able to travel at will to various planets and who cultivate mystic powers, are to be considered somewhat below the demigods. So see, the position of the demigods is very high. If we're looking at the structure of the universe, you're even higher than the great saintly mystics of the universe. So they are to be given that respect, because they are in that position. To disrespect is not good for us. It's not good for, the Lord won't be pleased, because they are his devotees. You see how far this goes? Yeah, okay, let's stop there. And those human beings on earth who are perfectly executing the Vedic rituals are to be considered in the third or lowest category of Shanta, saintly persons. But a devotee of the Lord is beyond the three modes of material nature. Lord Krishna explains that in Bhagavad Gita 14:26. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Therefore, one should cultivate the association of Uttamadhikari, or pure devotees of the Lord, as stated below in 11.3.21 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. By serving the lotus feet of the pure devotee, one can enter the ocean of eternal happiness and experience his constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. The mercy of the Vaishnavas is unlimited, and one who has tasted that mercy becomes mad after the lotus feet of Krishna, not caring for the hallucinations of so-called material pleasure or mental speculation. The mercy of the Vaishnavas is substantial and as powerful as Krishna himself. So this is a huge statement. This is in the Bhagavatam. The daya of the devotees is as powerful as Krishna. Whereas impersonal speculations and hopeless dreams of society, friendship, love, merely constitute various means by which Maya cheats the souls and keeps them in perpetual frustration. So I wanted to stop there, and we'll continue tomorrow with part 2. Any questions, any comments, please? Yes.
Sorry. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji, all devotees. When it comes to demigods and the real God, do we have to worship all of them or not really?
If
Because like, this is just a general question. When you read all different Puran, like if it's Shiv Puran, or if it's a Puran of Ganpati, or Gayatri, or Mataji, Vishnu Puran, in there, when you're reading them, then it will tell you, oh, you chant this, it will help you. You chant this name, it will help you. Even same with the Shiva. it keeps saying, chant like Om Namah Shivaya. So sometimes you think which one is the best for you. And when we are doing the prayers for Hare Krishna and Hare Rama, it says, okay, do Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. So that's where we get confused.
Good. So the example is given in the scriptures. If you have a very nice tree and you try to water all the leaves of that tree, the tree will die. But if you just water the roots, the whole tree becomes nourished. In the same way, if you try to worship all the Devatas, 330 million, 33 crore, you won't be able to do it. You can't do it.
No.
But if you worship the source of the Devatas, the root cause, that's Vishnu, Krishna, Rama, then all the demigods become pleased. So worship, if you water the roots, the whole tree becomes nourished.
So just the one, yeah?
Just the Supreme Lord is worshipped, but respect given to all. But in our culture, you may have been brought up worshipping a particular demigod all your life.
Yes. And
now
talking to friends, they will say, oh, you believe in this religious, it will help you. Someone believes in something else, they say, you believe in this, it will help you. Sometimes you get mixed up with it. I said, I don't know, because to be honest with you, as I have chatted with you before, that main is just Rama and Krishna. But then sometimes it just gets mixed up. Carry on.
Yeah, it gets mixed up because we're not getting the right guidance, and also because the guidance is there in the Bhagavad Gita. It's very, very clearly explained. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's very clearly explained who to worship. But because of people having, I don't know, some selfish motivations and whatever else, it becomes diluted. Some of the Puranas, for example, will give there, as you said, Shiv Puran will say, worship, Om Namo Shivaya, whatever it is. But we have to understand that what Shiv Puran is doing is bringing a certain class of worshipper to the next level. So it's not the ultimate, but whereas the Bhagavad Puran is the highest Puran, is beyond this world. So whatever is given there is going to be for our ultimate good, not for our temporary good, ultimate good.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So
thank you very much.
Good question. Good questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki jai.